Hey, what's up? It's Henry, and I'm back. Today, I got good advice for you to manage your personal finances during COVID-19. Stay tuned. If you haven't done so already, go down below, hit subscribe, give me a like, interact with me on the comment section. I'll see you soon. All right, so before I give you advice on financial information and things that you should be taking into account, I want you to first check yourself. You need to be able to check yourself, prepare yourself both mentally and financially. They're calling it the new normal. And now that we're at home, we're further away from friends and family. We're not interacting physically, more virtually with the platforms. We're meeting at work via Zoom. We're keeping in touch with people either through FaceTime or whatever the medium. And right now is the time to make sure that you're both keeping your relationships and your routines in check. And that will keep you healthy both physically and mentally. All right. And all of this, just take it with a grain of salt because it might not apply to everybody. There are some families that are more close knit and that do this already normally and naturally. So the first thing you need to think about is the relationships. So we're spending more time at home with our spouse, with our kids, with other family members that may live with us. And the first thing we need to do is be able to exist with each other during this new normal, finding spaces for ourselves and making sure that we all are able to communicate and respect each other's, make sure that we draw boundaries and we're able to communicate effectively. But the next thing I wanted to do is touch on routines. Routines are important. And if you're not a self-motivated person, this is something that you definitely need to work on. Now that we're at home more and we don't have like a clock in, clock out for work, and we don't have certain deadlines catered into our day. Now we got to think about when do we eat, exercise. We have to think about schoolwork for the kids, our own personal work if we're still working from home, and when do we actually sit down and have fun, entertainment. So it's really easy to just get into a rut. Oh, I'm just home, the TV is accessible, there's distractions, but we do need to look at our day and budget our time. So that way we're making sure that we're still being productive with our time right now, so that everything that our finances as it relates to that is still being productive as well. All right, so the first thing I do get asked is, should I continue to pay off debt or should I increase my savings? And the answer that I'm more inclined to at this moment in time is that you increase your savings. Look at your budget and then think about where you can actually reduce and maximize how much cash you can have in the bank. So what I first, typically in order, I want you guys to look at this, and I want you to have pen and paper in hand so that way you can write it out. So we're going to look at a few items. They're going to be your housing and utilities. Then we're going to look at our debts, which could be credit cards and loans. After that, we're going to look at our food costs. Then we're going to look at our transportation costs and some other costs after that. So our housing costs, for the most part, I'll touch on mortgages and I'll talk to renters. All right, so for mortgage forbearance, I do want you to just take it with a grain of salt. Don't take the very first offer that they give you. Make sure that you're in tune with what they're offering you and that you're in agreement. What I do want you guys to ask is that they actually work with you in modifying your loan schedule or the payment itself. If you're able to and they can offer you either, the best case scenario would be a debt holiday. You stop payment for 3 months. They tack on the 3 months at the end. They also offer where they modify your payment and to the remaining payments. So these 3 months, let's say, for example, is adjusted in your monthly payment, and then you pay it off little by little as the remaining payments come due. So that's for mortgage forbearance. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. But whatever you can afford right now in terms of mortgage payment, whether you can afford half or 25%, 75%, take that into account. Okay, renters. I want you guys to make sure that before you just stop paying your rent altogether, make sure that you have a conversation with the homeowner, with your landlord. Make sure that you're actually coming up with a plan and then sticking to that plan. So if you can only afford a certain amount of your rent, that way you can actually make an agreement with your landlord and make sure that you get back on track. Here in New Jersey and in most states, there's no evictions going on, so that at the very least know that you have some time frame, but it's not going to last too long, so that way you'll be in a better position for the long term if you make a plan and an agreement and formalize it with your landlord. The next item in your budget that I want you to look at is your utilities. I want you to make an at least amount that you can pay towards your utilities. Know that here in New Jersey, the governor's mandate is that no utility company can turn off your account. There's no shut off going on right now. So it's going to give you the opportunity, and usually the utility companies give you that, to pay off whatever's owed, whatever's accrued in installments in your monthly bill. So make sure that you put into paper whatever amount you think you can afford to pay. Next thing I want you guys to look at is all your debts. In your debts, I want you to look at your credit cards and your loans. Whatever you're paying, the first thing I want you to do is to itemize every last one that you're paying off. Once you itemize it, make sure you get name of the company, telephone number, and any information that you can get together, like account numbers, so that way you can call these companies, ask them to give you whatever they can in terms of protection to your credit and anything that they're affording to you for you being affected during this pandemic. Right now, what you need to do is call, let's say, the credit card carriers, ask for pandemic assistance, and what they'll do is that they'll either let you know through the credit card, they'll freeze any late payment fees or any fees at all, any bounced checks, anything that would be returned and charge a fee to your account, they'll waive it. On top of that, a lot of credit card companies are also waiving interest for the time being, so they'll give you a defined period, whether it's 2 or 3 months, and they'll say that this won't accrue any interest for the time being. Same thing with any loans. Make sure that you're also calling these companies, asking for some type of deferment, so that way it at least gives you a little bit of a leeway in terms of your budget and what you can afford right now. So the next thing you want to look at is the food items. The food costs that you have associated with your budget, you have to look at what are you spending your money on. Now, it's very, very, very tempting to, eat a lot of junk food, eat chips, cookies, ice cream. I get it. We're cooped up at home and we just want a snack. So what we do need to do is very, very, very important to make sure that we're eating our well-rounded meals and having the right snacks in between. We want to make sure that we're consuming things that are highly nutritious but yet affordable. For breakfast, make sure that you have your cereals, you have your low sugar cereals at that, oatmeals, your dairy, which is your eggs and your milk, and you want to have some fruits in the morning. For lunch and dinner, you want to make sure that you have protein source, you have your carbs that are healthy, your complex carbs, and then you want to have at the very least some veggies in there. And then at in between dinner and lunch and breakfast, you do want to have some snacks that are actually good for you, so you can snack on bananas, apples, some fruits, and things that, maybe nuts and berries that will actually sustain you, give you what you need, but yet are affordable. So next item I wanted to touch on is transportation costs. While we're at home, most of us aren't actually going out, and we may have households with like 2, 3, or 4 cars on the policy, and it's one of those things that I think and I suggest that if you don't have a loan payment on the car right now, it's wise if you can at least reduce the amount of insurance that you have, or potentially even remove a few of the vehicles and just leave one of the vehicles on the policy. All right, so other costs. I want you guys to make sure that, you know, some of us have reoccurring costs that are set and forget it on our checking accounts or credit cards. Just make sure that some of these services are actually essential. One of the things that I mentioned in the previous video is maybe cable or some type of subscription service. We may have too many, and there is such a thing. So just with a grain of salt, carefully comb through what you're actually spending, so that way you can find out or figure what you can actually live without. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video today. Smash that like button below, subscribe to the channel so you know when I post again, and I'll see you guys on the next one.